Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to Crafters TV. My name's Ben Moseby. Thanks for joining us for another one of our Craft Your Stash shows. These shows are all about helping you to get the very best out of your crafty stash. We focus on kind of different types of crafts, different materials, and today's Craft Your Stash is about all things adhesive. I know our expert, who I'll introduce you to in just a second, is very excited about this, but I also feel that this is one of those areas where we get the most questions, one of those areas where people kind of, even experienced crafters forget what adhesive does what. Well, over the course of the next hour or so, we hope to tackle all those different adhesives and show you how they all work, where you can use them, which is the best for what, and so on and so forth. As I always say with these shows, make sure that you bookmark them, save them, add them to your playlist so you know where they are, just in case you do need to come back to them a little bit down the line, because as I say, we are going to be covering off a lot in this show. And let's find out exactly what we are going to be covering off with our expert, the one and only Mr. Craig Laird. You're excited about this show and you've got lots to show us in this hour, haven't you?
How can someone be so excited about glue and adhesives like I am?
He is.
And I am absolutely buzzing for this one. Yeah, it's been fun doing some of the other ones that you'll have seen and see, but this one is music to my ears. This is all about adhesive. If you know me, if you follow me at Crafter's Companion, you know I can talk for hours and hours and hours, although we don't have hours and hours and hours, but we're going to do a little bit of a 101 with the adhesives. Dotty tape runner versus tape runner. We're going to do foam pads versus glue gel, tacky glue versus all-purpose glue, red liner tape versus tacky glue for construction, and then we've got our adhesive sprays as well. So we're going to have a look at the permanent versus, of course, your repositionable. So that's what we are going to be doing as well, giving you some little hints and tips, but this is definitely going to be one of those that you want to bookmark on your playlist.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll be able to pick up everything that we are showing you on the website. I'll remind you of the different bits and pieces as we go through the show, but you won't see details on the screen as such. However, if you do see something that you like, that you're talking about, just search for it on the search bar on our website, and then you'll be able to add that into your basket and shop for it. So, lots to get through. I like the way when Craig was just telling us that it was like such and such versus such and such versus such and such. It's like some sort of wrestling card he's got going on over there. And the first bout in our adhesive Craft Your Stash is all about the tape runners. It's all about our standard tape runners versus dotty tape runners. But let's take it right back again, Craig, here, and talk about these tape pens for people who haven't seen them before. What are they? What are we using them for?
So when it comes to these ones here, and I'm just going to pick this one up and I'll tell you all about that one just shortly, but our tape runners here, Ben, these are technically, these are a wet adhesive but within dry form here. So that means that these are really good for simple mats and layers. These are really good for foiling, really good for glitters, but even really good for construction as well. Now at Crafter's Companion, this is a newer tape, so these ones are refillable. Your original ones you might be familiar with, Ben, they were 22 meters in length.
Yeah.
These ones now are 30 meters in length. So with the red one, which is your straight tape runner, that is great for mats and layers, or maybe you want to use your glitter or your gilding flakes. That's what that's spot on for. Then what we've got is our purple tape runner. Now this one is millions and millions and millions of little dots, and this is going to work with all your intricate die cut pieces.
Yeah.
Now if I bring the straight one back in, you've got a picture which is letting you know that represents the straight tape runner, and then this one is giving you all of these tiny, tiny little dots. This one, Ben, you're probably going to use this the least, but you're going to be using it with all your intricate die cut pieces. The little dots will only stick to, of course, the intricate die cut pieces. And when it comes to the straight tape runners, what I'm also going to show you as well, and this is because I use this quite a lot, Ben. You know that this is my favourite form of adhesive, which is just a tissue tape that we do. So where you use that, you can use that, and I just wanted to, of course, acknowledge it because you guys know that that's what I like to use. So let's go in here. We've got our straight tape runner, perfect way, mats and layers.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I've just got some simple mats and layers here, Ben. Now within our tape runners, you've got a little cap over the top there, so we're just going to open that up, stops any dust or debris sticking to it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the edge and work that all the way around. Now your mats and layers, Ben, it is, I'm going to say, for me, it's imperative that you go right to the edge.
Yeah.
Because you don't want any loose edges not stuck down. That's where your finger can catch. That's where maybe it'll prise away from the card if it is sitting on a mantelpiece. And then what we've got here is we've then got that ability now to go in, press it down, and then we'll always go along and give that a little bit of a rub, build up the heat, because your adhesives love heat. So if you go in, that's going to give it a really, really strong bond, which now you've got that perfect mat and layer. We can do that again, simply doing what I've done before, going all the way round that outer edge, making sure that you're as close to the edge as possible. That gives you that straight form of adhesive. You've got no gaps in them whatsoever. Run that around, start to go and give that a rub to build up the heat, and then again, you've got your mat and layer. And then there's nothing stopping you, Ben, from going double layer onto double layer. What I mean by that is if we come along into what I've just done there, press that in, give that a rub, that's then going to, of course, align up perfectly. You've got that strong bond. And what I've done with this one is what you can do with the tissue tape that I love to do.
Got ya.
There's something else you can do with that. I'll show you in a minute. But what I will do is let's go in to the dotty tape runner.
Yeah.
Now, what you wouldn't do, Ben, is you wouldn't use this for your mats and layers.
No.
It would stick. However, this is what you want to keep for any of your die cuts that have got tiny, tiny, intricate bits. If you were to use this on something like that, you're going to waste it all, Ben. You are going to waste all of your tape. What you want is the dots, because these millions and millions of tiny little dots will only stick onto the actual die cut. So what I would recommend, Ben, is get a scrap bit of cardstock.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this just on black so you can see this image. So I'm going to go onto my cardstock. And the reason being is so that any excess little dots will stick to the card, not to your glass mat. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to travel down. So we're going to give that a really nice coating, really nice coverage.
Yeah.
We're going to work our way. And what's happening, Ben, is all of these tiny little dots are only sticking to the die cut.
Yeah.
They are not sticking anywhere that they can't or don't need to stick. Whereas if I were to use that one, we're going to waste it all, because what it's going to do is it's just going to then cover the whole bit, including all the die cut pieces. And then when you do come to stick it onto your project, what's going to happen is you're going to get lots of dirt and debris stuck to it. So once you've gone, we're going to peel that up. Any excess is stuck onto our cardstock, and that is all of those tiny little bits are all the bits that it's not captured within the die cut, which you want. We can then go along, we can come along, we can press that in. Brilliant. We're going to do the same again, because although it's dots, Ben, it's still the same adhesive as your straight. The only thing is it's in tiny dots. We're going to build it up. Now, look at that. It is not sticking to my hand. There is nothing left over adhesive-wise. That is because the dots have only stuck to the backside of the die cut. So this is where you've got your straight for your mats and layers. You've got your dots for your intricate pieces. And then that one last thing I said I wanted to show you, when it comes to the straight tape runner, Ben, or even your tissue tape, really good for your glitters. So if I come along here and bring just this piece of cardstock, what we can then do, and I'm going to do it with both, if we take our tissue tape, and this could be your faux mats and layers, Ben. Maybe you've not got glitter card, you want to create your own. Let's do a double strip. And then if you are using our tissue tape, it's called finger lift because the backing is wider than the adhesive strip. So we've got our two strips of our adhesive. You'll see that kind of watermark effect here. And then all that we then need to do, Ben, is come along with your glitter. If you're using, of course, colour glitter, that's great. Sprinkle that on. And this could be in the middle or the edges of your mats and layers. We can then tap all of that excess out, And then look at that. We've got nice,
Fantastic.
glittery, sparkly edge to your cards. And that is, of course, off our straight tape runner. So straight tape runner for your glitters, as well as your mats and layers. And then you've also got your dots, which is going to work, of course, perfectly for your dotty tape runner.
A couple of questions.
Yes.
You know, you mentioned earlier, so the straight tape pen and that tissue tape.
Yes.
So you can use that for similar stuff. The tape pen we can use for construction. Would the tape be able to, you could use that for construction as well?
Yes, you can do.
Right.
You know, you can do. What we're trying to do, Ben, is we're just kind of trying to contain it all and give you kind of the key nugget of knowledge of each of the individuals. Yes, you know, as you said, you could use the tape runner for construction, absolutely. But what I'm here to do is I'm just kind of give you what are the best adhesives for each section. Take the knowledge that we're going to give you between myself and Ben, and then afterwards, if you want to have a little bit of experiment, then you can absolutely do that. But if you wanted to use the tape runner and tissue tape for construction, yes, you could do. But I will show you the two better ones to be using within the show.
That's it. The thing is, I always try and like get in my little brain here is that they've all got their own sort of like super strengths.
Yes.
But you find, won't you, that a lot of adhesives will then kind of cross into other adhesives yards, if you like, and do other little bits and pieces. But yeah, as Craig said, if you can try and remember like the sort of super strengths of each one, you're halfway there. These are the tape pens. So if you want to grab those, the great thing about the new tape pens as well that we've got is they are refillable. So when it does come to the end of its life, so once you've used the 30 meters, then you've got a replacement cartridge in each of the standard tape pens, and then of course the dotty tape pens as well. So within these, you get the actual tape pen itself, and then you get the replacement cartridge to go with. Really simple to kind of take those apart and pop the new cartridge on. We have bigger bumper boxes available for you on the website as well. So do have a little check for those if you like the look of the tape pens. Always handy to have, like in an ideal world, you'll have like a little bit of everything of what Craig is showing you over the course of this show. So then you'll, you know, have the ability to kind of turn to all of these different glues, whether it's like your tape pens or your wet glues, which is what we're going to be coming on to next. So we've kind of talked about those glue tape pens, but what about are wet glues? And again, I kind of feel this is where a lot of people trip up, a lot of people get confused. So this is going to be great to chat to Craig about these. So the two most popular sort of bottled wet glues that we have are our tacky glue and then our all-purpose glue. And Craig, hopefully, you're going to tell us which one we use where.
You know what? Not hopefully, I promise you. I'm going to step you through the right adhesive for the right cardstock here. So absolutely, as Ben said, what we have got is our tacky glue. So this is like a white PVA glue that you've got. The Collal one has got little water in it. The more water, the cheaper the glue, and then that's when your projects are going to be wrinkled, and then they're going to, of course, get all kind of wet with the water. So it is about a good quality glue, which of course ours is. So a really strong tacky glue. And then we've got our all-purpose glue here. Now, when it comes to each of these ones here, let's say for mats and layers, Ben. So your all-purpose glue here, when you're using it with cardstock, you want to use a matte cardstock. So that's our black card, our white card, that's our craft card, that is our linen cardstock. Anything that doesn't have a coating, that is where you want to come along and then use your all-purpose. If you were to use it with a coated card, which this is our Centura Peril, what will happen is it will just prise away. The alcohol within the adhesive is just going to prise the coating away. So what you're going to do then is when it comes to a coated card, so that is then things such as your Centura Peril, anything that's got a sheen or a shimmer, anything that's got a coating to it, that is when you're going to want to use your tacky glue.
Okay.
Now your tacky glue, I would highly recommend to pop it into the little decant bottle. You've got this little applicator bottle you'll find on our website. So you want to use one for them. We don't recommend using one of them for that.
Okay.
We use that straight from the bottle here. But what you can do is you can use that in with that because you need very little, Ben. If you go straight from the nozzle, which you can do, what can happen is you add too much. Excellent, getting that top tip there. So what we're going to do within the mats and layers here, you're going to open up the nozzle like so, And then we're just going to then go onto the back here, and then we're just going to give that a light press, and then we're just going to go right to the edges. You don't need much whatsoever. What this one also does, Ben, is this gives it such a strong bond and a really, really substantial hold. So we're going to work our way round. We're going to press. This is wet, so therefore you need to let that dry a little bit longer than a dry adhesive. But the great thing with this, and a lot of people love, let's say, Ben, that we go over the edge.
Yeah.
So we've done a little bit too much. We've gone over the edge, and you can see just there within that kind of reflection. What we're going to do then is if we just go in circular motions to start with, now you'll see again with the reflection, look at that. Oh, what a mess that I've made.
What a mess, what you done there.
What a mess. All you're going to do, Ben, is you're just going to keep going round and round.
Yeah.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to start to create a little glue blob. So we're just going to then take that off, and then there we go. It's completely gone.
Yeah.
So that is why a lot of people love to use this one. For those that obviously know and love our Leanne, that is Leanne's favourite glue in the world.
It is.
She loves it, she adores it, and that is where you're going to use that one for a matte cardstock, an uncoated cardstock. As I say, our white, our black, our craft, our, of course, linen cardstock, or any brand that is an uncoated card.
Yep.
Then when it comes to, of course, a coated cardstock, so that coated cardstock being things such as our shimmer card, that is then things such as our Centura Pearl. You might have others, you know, our friends at Hunky Dory, Adorable Squirrel, that's all coated card. So this is where you're going to be wanting to use your wet glue. So as I say, wet glue as in the tacky glue. So you can, if you want to, go round that edge there with the little nozzle. You're just going to twist it open.
Yeah.
But do think about purchasing, and they're only a couple of pound or dollars, where you go in with the little applicator. Just going to give that a fill up here, and then we're just going to work our way around. We've got the lights going. It's really, really hot within the studio. So I'm just going to then give that a press till that comes out. All you need to do afterwards is, if you find that it starts to block, you do get a pin with them.
Yeah.
But if you find that it does start to block, just come along and then just give it a little rinse out, and then that's you good to go. We're going to line that one up, press that down, and then there we've got our matte and layer. What's also good for both of them, you've got wiggle room.
Yes.
So you can then start to wiggle it into place if you're not quite kind of confident in getting it straight on and bang on. So there is your twos. Now this is where later on we'll talk you through, because it's good for construction and box making, and I'll talk you through that one just shortly. But you've got your coated cardstock, which you're going to want to use your tacky glue and even the little small applicator. Or of course, if you're using an uncoated cardstock, a smooth cardstock, this is when things such as your all-purpose glue, both of which you can also use to hold in place things such as embellishment.
I was just about to ask you that. Yeah.
There you go. You just need to, of course, let that dry, compared to a hot glue gun, which you can use, but that is instant once that's dried. Little bit of time, mats and layers, embellishments, construction, you're going to be able to use that when it comes to your wet adhesive glues.
All explained very well, and again, you know, it kind of shows you why you're going to need, if you want to get the best out of your crafts, all of these different glues, all of these different types of tape pen within your crafty armoury. So if you can pick these up, get a couple of bottles of each potentially, your tacky glue, and also your all-purpose glue as well. And those are going to see you right. It's nice as well, because you know, you guys will have seen the little bits of crafting that I've done. Always used to be tape pen, tape pen, tape pen. But then I suppose the downside of that is, if you are fairly new, and like Craig was saying, you don't get that stick first time, you're stuck, aren't you, literally? But with these, you do have that little bit of wiggle room. So I think even if you are a big fan of our tape pens, it's really good to have a bottle of your tacky glue and of course your all-purpose glue within your crafty stash. And again, if you want to pick these up, just search for these on the website. Just type it into the search bar and those will pop up for you. All right, so from the battle of the wet glues to the battle of the glues that are going to help you if you want to create height and depth and dimension. Again, two absolute, I think, key components to have in your craft room. Going to be an interesting little chat here with Craig, because if you watch the channel a lot, you'll know what Craig's favourite is. Craig's favourite on show here, Debbie Robinson's favourite on show here. But as Craig, I'm sure, will explain to you, there's So many reasons to have both the foam pads and the 3D glue gel in your life, Craig, isn't there? Because they are both really important sets to have.
They really, really are. These are all about adding that height and that dimension to your card, your projects, or of course when it comes to your decoupage. Now, as Ben said, my absolute favourite is, of course, the foam pads. Now, if you are a beginner at decoupage, or maybe you don't have confidence when it comes to decoupage, believe it or not, I would recommend the glue gel because you've got wiggle room. You can then, of course, you're in control of the height. Foam pads in there, the range that we do, you've got maybe about 4 or 5 different depths of foam pads. Glue gel, pretty much infinity amount of different depths, because it's up to you if you do a lot of glue gel or if you do less. It's entirely up to yourself. So I do have some decoupage here that we're going to pop together. So as you were saying, Ben, you've got your glue gel. Now your glue gel is clear, it is uncoated. Just to let you know, or unscented, just to let you know, all of our adhesives are acid and ligament free. So if you are using them for things such as photos, memory books, scrapbook pages, you're going to be absolutely fine. So your glue gel comes with the glue gel. You've got your syringe tool. You've then got your little corned beef tin, which you can then just use at the bottom so you don't key for your corned beef tin. You don't get the tin, but you do get the key. And
that was a promotion we were doing a while back.
And then what you've got as well is you've got the cap, which we'll show you.
Yeah.
You've got the little fine nozzle. It's up to you how much you chop off if you want it very fine. But in all honesty, Ben, I very rarely ever use that.
I was just about to say, I don't think I've ever seen any of you use that.
No. No, it's there if you want to have precise points, precise amounts, but yeah, very rarely will you see anyone using that one. So that is, of course, your glue gel, and then you've got your foam pads here. So I've got some foam pads here to the side. So before we do that, let's go in with our glue gel, show you how to pop it in. You've got your seal on there, so we're just going to take that seal off, like so. And then what we're going to do, take the cap off, and then you're going to open that out. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to then place that over the end of the syringe, and then we're just going to press. So we're going to press that in. Now, all that you want, Ben, is maybe about just less than half of that filled.
Right.
Don't fill it completely. Because of the air, what's going to happen is it's end up going to splurge out of the base there. So we're going to come along, and then we're just going to then press that in. We're going to then keep pushing it up till it gets to the end, like so. Now that is you good to go. You've got that tiny little blob at the end. I'll show you how to seal that just shortly once we've used it for the decoupage. So that is us now good to go. If you are starting to run low, Ben, this is when you're going to take the corned beef key, and then you're just going to pop that in. So you're just going to then get that so it's slotted inside. So many will be familiar with things like this when it comes to toothpaste as well.
Your toothpaste,
and then if you've got a few of them afterwards, keep some for your toothpaste. But you're just going to then twist that. That's going to push it all up to the top, and then it means that you're not wasting any. So we're going to move that to the side. Let's bring in, so I've got some decoupage here. So this is from our All Occasions decoupage pad. Now, what I'm going to do within this one here, with the decoupage, we've got our first layer. So I'm going to go in with my glue gel, and I'm going to put a nice little selection of my glue gel into position here. And then we're going to pop that down. Now, what I was referring to before, you've got an infinite amount of height options. That is, if you want it really low, Ben, press it really, really low down. If you want it higher up, then of course, just lift that and then pull that up. So you're in control of how high and then how low. I'm going to do it relatively low, pop that into place. We're then going to go in with our next layer here, and we're going to go section by section, a little bit of the glue gel.
I noticed you put quite a few blobs on, but then I guess it's only the same as that you would make sure the back of that was covered with lots of foam pads to give you the stability, I suppose.
That's it. You want stability. Now, when it comes to glue gel or foam pads, when it comes to decoupage as a whole, I like my layers to be flat. But what you can do if you want to is you can shape them and manipulate them. I like to put my glue gel on each layer first, then we're going to come along, and then the way that your decoupage works, you're just going to pop your layer upon layer.
Does that take a long time to dry?
So I would say touch dry about an hour or so.
Okay.
But anything that's wet, I would always leave it overnight, Ben.
Right.
Because, and I'll talk you through that with the glue gel, like I'm doing now, and that is, of course, that you have to let that dry, whereas the foam pads, it's instant.
So if you were making something like this and you needed to post it quick, foam pads?
I would do foam pads.
Right.
So pop that into place like that with the glue gel, and you can see now the depth that you've got with that glue gel. So I'm just going to come forward on so that you can see. The only thing with the glue gel, Ben, is I need to let that dry. But I'm in full control of how high or how low that I want my decoupage to be because it is the glue gel. So that's the glue gel. Let me just show you as well the tip here, Ben. To stop that drying out, you're going to then press till you get a little bit of the glue gel just popping out the edge.
Yeah.
And then you're going to put the cap on. That's going to create a seal, and that's going to stop it drying out. And that goes exactly the same for the actual glue gel tube. What you're going to do is you're going to press until you've got just a little bulge just coming out the end there, and then you're going to tighten the cap. That's going to create the seal, and that means it's not going to dry out. It's not going to be dry when you come to it, and you can keep going back using it time and time again. So going to do the same. This time I brought a different image from my decoupage, and we're going to go in with our foam pads. Now our foam pads, we have multiple different size foam pads. I like to use both large and small, but when it comes to your larger foam pads, or any foam pads, you can always chop them down with your scissors if you want. So with your foam pads, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the ones that we want. So I'm going to take a few here.
Yeah.
Difference now with foam pads is I have no control on the height of my layers. My layers are dictated by the actual height of the foam pad that I use. So we can then take the backing off here. I don't need to go to town because I've got a nice stability within the middle there.
Do you ever stick foam pads on foam pads to get like a higher height?
Of course you can, absolutely. Yep, maybe you've only got really shallow foam pads and you want them to be a bit higher. All that we are going to do, so what I'm going to do, Ben, is if I take just from the side of me here, just a bit of black card, all that you would need to do is, let's pretend this is a piece of decoupage. You're just going to take your foam pad off, put another one over the top. That's now going to give you that double layer. So if I lift it up, yes, it's a thick layer, but it's letting you see that it's a double layer. So of course you can, no problem at all. And then what we're doing is we are following along with each individual layer. So we're going to take our next foam pad and then we're going to pop that into place. Now this is where you have to be quite comfortable and confident in getting it bang on because it's an instant stick. So I like to hover. I've actually got my fingers that are blocking the actual foam pad at the moment, and then I can then move that about, and once I've got that overlay I can then press to commit to that stick, and then that is me now got my second layer.
Nice.
And then we carry on with the other layers, so we can go in with what would be our third one.
Can I ask another question?
Of course you can.
What's your take on, because I hear sometimes you guys talking about adding a bit of wet glue to foam pads. Is that necessary here or not really?
So it's a good question. I do it if it's a coated card or a glitter card.
Gotcha.
This is a smooth matte cardstock or paper, heavyweight paper. It's fibrous, so don't really need to do that with my foam pads. But if I was going direct onto a glitter card or a coated card, something with a bit of texture, then I might be inclined to put a little bit of tacky glue, which I'll show you just in a second. So this time I could chop these down, Ben, or you can go into your smaller foam pads, and then we're just going to take our next one, and the sizes are irrelevant. What you're doing is you're just going to come along, and then we're just going to then match that up into position.
Brilliant.
Press it in. I'm going to take my scissors, and then we can then chop into the sheet here. We're going to take our next one, and then we're going to pop that into here. Now, let's say for argument's sake, Ben, that was a coated card.
Yeah.
What you could do, exactly as you said, put a little bit of tacky glue on the back of the foam, and what that will then do is the tacky glue, Ben, will dry into your textured cardstock, if it's texture you're using, and it will also dry into the actual foam of the foam pad, making it really strong. But as I was saying, I only do that if it is going onto a textured background.
Yeah.
And then last but by no means least, just gone in, chopped another one down slightly because I've got a really, really small image here.
Oh, wow.
Let's then pop that one off. And then if you want to, Ben, you can use both glue gel and foam pads.
Yeah, okay.
You just need to remember your glue gel, you have to let dry.
Yeah.
So now, Ben, I've got 2 decoupaged images. And then what I've got, this one with glue gel, I have to let dry. This one done with foam pads, and I can send that now in the post without having to worry about it getting squashed, of course. So you've got your glue gel, you've got your foam pads. If you're a beginner, I would recommend you start with the glue gel because you can move it, you can manipulate it, you can raise it, lower it, and you can change it if you want. Once you commit to the stick with the foam pads, there's no going back.
And just a question with the foam pad. So we've got the large foam pad kit, haven't we, and the small foam pad kit. I guess if we were going to buy just one of the two, we would go for the large because we can snip down?
Absolutely, yeah, really good point. Like anything really, Ben, if you go for larger, you can always chop down. It's just if you go for small, yes, you can use the small, but you're going to have to use quite a lot. So yeah, I would say that.
And can you just remind me as well, because I know you've got one favourite set, and there's one set which has got the strips in that you used for shakers. Is that the small or the large?
So that is the small one, yeah. So there's a couple of sheets. You've got 2 different width of long strips. Also in the small ones, Ben, is the little round foam pads as well. So if you like the round foam pads, both round foam pads and the foam pad strips for shakers, they're in the small foam pad bundle.
It's all good information, all very relevant, all hopefully going in, and now you think to yourself, okay, I'm kind of understanding what I need and where I need it. And again, you've seen with Craig just there why you need both of these in your life. But as Craig has said, you know, if you're new to decoupage, if you're new to using your adhesives to create depth, then maybe go for your 3D glue gel first. It just gives you a little bit more time to sort of commit to that stick. But I think over time you will find that you're going to have this in your crafty armoury, and you're also going to have your foam pads as well. As you can see here, we do have that small 3D foam pad kit, which does of course have those little circles in, as Craig was talking about, and then the foam pad strips that you can use for things like making your shaker cards, and then you've got your large foam pad kits there too. So again, the best thing to do here really is just search for them on the website, whatever you fancy, search for it, get it in your basket and get it checked out. So far then, we've covered off your tape pens, we've talked about your wet glues, your tacky all-purpose, and we've also covered about the glues and the foam pads when you're wanting to create decoupage and that depth and dimension. Still to come, we are going to look at sprays, all of the different sprays that we have, and also something which we haven't talked about yet, red liner tape. So expect us to be talking about things like construction when we come back. But in the meantime, as I say, if you're interested in anything that we've brought you here on Craft Your Stash Adhesives, have a look on the website, search for those various things, get them in your basket, get them checked out, and we'll meet you back here with more information in about 4 minutes' time.
My day-to-day life is pretty busy in work. Literally, I get in the door, I check my polls, I then check what I've got to demo, I then get everything ready, and it's just busy, busy, busy from there. I have a meeting with the producer, the director, we get then sorted for the shows, talk to the presenter, and it depends what side I'm on. I mean, sometimes I'm doing the presenting side, sometimes I'm doing the demonstration side, and I love both. It's actually who I get to work with. That's, yeah, I can't say no more than that other than anybody that works We are a big family. We're so super friendly. I love Ben. I love it when we work together. And I don't mean that I don't love anyone else. It's the fact that Ben is the presenter and then I'm demonstrating, and we just have this great rapport. Same with Craig, same with Deb, same with the whole team. So yeah, the best part of the day is just getting to work with the best people in the industry. Oh, a night out. In the morning. Oh, none. I only drink water. Oh, well, I'm cutting out sugar, so it's got to be savoury. Masterclass. Oh, I can't leave the house without my lipstick. Oh, I love a baked potato. I relax, so I literally drive home normally and then I relax.
Day to day looks like, on a normal day when I'm working from home, get up, breakfast, quick phone call with my daughter, and then I'm up in the craft room and I spend all my time in the craft room. If it's spending a day with the grandkids, that's it. That's my best part of the day, just spending time with family and those gorgeous little grandkids of mine. The best part of the day when I'm at work is when I go on air, because I absolutely love it. Both. I prefer a shower in the morning. I feel fresher. I feel that I can tackle my day. However, depending on how that day's been, I also would have a double shower, so I'd have one in the morning and one at night too. Absolutely, 100% coffee. Will always be coffee. And flavoured coffee is my favourite at the moment. Dare I say, it's a full English breakfast, the full works, the beans, the tomatoes, the bacon, the sausage, and everything else that goes with a traditional English breakfast. Craft along every day of the week. I absolutely love going through the stages from the start of a project to the end of a project. So craft along is definitely my favourite choice. I can't leave without my lipstick. It's a given thing. I once didn't have a lipstick on me and Leanne helped me out that day. Kick off the shoes, sit down for a couple of minutes, just gather my thoughts and then grab my tea.
Welcome back, everybody, to Craft Your Stash here on Crafters TV. My name is Ben Moseby. Thanks for joining us. These shows are brilliant, aren't they? We were just discussing in that short break there how important they are to help you get the very best out of everything that you get from us here on Crafters TV. And the one that comes up time and time again, always adhesives, and hopefully we are covering off all the information that you need as far as adhesives are concerned. As I say, if you've just joined us, we've covered off your tape pens, we've covered off tacky and all-purpose, we've covered off foam pads and glue gel, but you may be wondering then, why have I plucked the bottle of tacky glue out once again? Because we're going to be looking with Craig at tacky glue, and this might give you a clue as to what's coming up next. Tacky glue, and also our super sticky red liner tape, which you can get in 3 different dimensions, 3mm, 6mm and 12mm. So let's talk to Craig about these two here. I have a funny feeling, Craig, that you might be talking to us here about construction.
Maybe. I wonder what gave that game away. But yes, it's construction. So anything construction-wise, of course, I'm going to show you when it comes to a little bit of box making. I've already done the box, the layout, the score and the cutting, because this is all about the adhesive. So this is where we're going to bring back in that tacky glue, because we showed you earlier on the mat and layer, but your tacky glue really good for construction because it soaks into the cardstock. But your red liner tape, it is the strongest dry adhesive you could possibly get. So when it comes to your adhesives, I'm going to use my red liner tape. It's really good construction with acetate. You can absolutely use it with the cardstock, no problem at all. But when it comes to acetate, if you're making boxes, then it's really good to use it for things such as your acetate construction. What I would also say as well, what we're doing within construction, Ben, this is coming back to what you were saying before, our straight tape runners, you can absolutely use for construction as well. But originally, you think of construction when it comes to paper craft, you think of either a wet adhesive or your red liner tape. Now you can do something else with the red liner tape, we'll show you just shortly. Now I've already got my red liner tape on my lid. I'm going to do it on the base of my acetate just in a moment, because all that you need to do is you just need to make sure that you've got some of your red liner tape on the actual folds of your box tabs. So I've already done it for this one. So what we're going to do is, it's entirely up to you what width that you use. When it comes to box making, if you've got a thicker tab, then maybe you want to go for the 12mm. And then what I like to do, Ben, is I like to take a bit off, snip it off, and then we're going to go onto our glue tabs. So we're just going to go onto our glue tabs, and then we're just going to pop that on, and then we're just snipping that off. You're going on to each of the glue tab.
Yeah.
So if we go in and then cut and then in, and then we can cut that excess off. So now that I've got that one done, I'm going to do what I've done before. And as I said right at the start, this isn't about actual box making. So I've already scored and chopped my little tabs here. This is about the way that we form it with the adhesive. So we're just going to pop all of these in here. I'm just going to then open that up. Now, because that's a red liner tape, we're going to be taking the pokey tool to take the back off. Now, this can stick with static. So if you've got a microfiber cloth, put microfiber cloth at the side of you, and that will stick to the microfiber cloth. If you don't, a little damp towel or kitchen towel, and then that's going to stop it with the static sticking to you. So if we take that one off, and then what we're then going to do, when it comes to the box making, we're just going to turn that in at 90 degrees, and then we're going to press that together. Acetate is also good when you use your red liner tape, because it's very, very hard to see the adhesive. So it's a good one to use for acetate. We're just going to go into that last one. We're just going to fold that in. We're just going to then lift and press, and then I'm just going to then push all those bits in. My edges are nicely, beautifully, neatly folded together. And then let's do the same within this one.
You just have to be pretty precise with when you stick it then, yeah? Because as soon as you press this, it's stuck, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Acetate, it's a little bit more forgiving because it's a non-porous surface. So you do have, I mean, if I was to do, oh, look at that, Ben.
Yeah.
I've still got a little bit of time just to prise that apart. If I go like that, press like that, Ben, I've got no chance now.
Yeah.
So if you press it lightly, you've got that little bit of time just to maneuver it into place by prising it apart. But once you've gone in and you, like I've done it there, let's just prise that away. Press that together, go in, and then what you'll see within the tacky glue in a minute, you've got the wiggle room if you're not precise. So form those ones together, and then we've got our perfect box within acetate with the red liner tape that's been used. So that is, of course, your red liner tape. What you can then also do, as I said before, you can then be using your tacky glue.
Yeah.
So you can absolutely use your red liner tape on, of course, your cardstock, but really going old school style, the two that you would tend to use for construction, tacky glue and red liner. So I'm just going to go in with my little glue applicator, and then we're just going to do a little squiggle, because you don't need much at all, Ben, when it comes to your tacky glue. Hence why we recommend going along and then using your little applicator.
Yeah, it is literally like a little scribble, isn't it? That's all you need.
That is it. And then what I tend to do is I'll tend to do a little squiggle, and then I'll sit it down and then do a little squiggle on the opposite side.
Yeah.
What that's doing, that's giving that time to go really, really tacky. It's going really tacky, The water is starting to dry out, so you're left with just the adhesive glue. So we can press that in. Now, your red liner tape's instant. Your tacky glue, you do need to press just for that to grab for a few moments, and then you can then release it and then move on to the next section. So unlike your red liner tape, see, you've got wiggle room, you've got movability there. So if you're not in the right place, just move it. And then what we can do is move on to that last bit within that one and then press that in. Now, while I'm doing that, that other piece that I've done, that is now giving it a little bit of time to start to go off, start to dry, and makes it even more tackier. So let's bring that one in, and then we're going to go, and we're just going in 90 degrees. So this could be stepper die construction, this could be cardstock construction, this could be model making, whatever you want it to be within that form of construction. You can be coming along with either your tacky glue or your red liner tape.
And just going back to the acetate a minute ago, if you're, because a lot of people ask about how to stick the acetate so the glue obviously sticks but then doesn't show. Red liner tape is really the best one to tick those boxes.
In my opinion, yeah, it is super, super strong. As I say, you cannot get a stronger adhesive tape out there than a red liner tape. And because it's very, very clear, once you take that red backing off, it is a clear, clear adhesive strip, which is good to be using onto things such as your acetate. So you've then got your box when it comes to the tacky glue, but when it comes to red liner tape, Ben, one last thing that you can do with red liner tape, and that is embossing powder. Although it's a plastic, you can use your embossing powder with your red liner tape. I wouldn't do this with a tissue tape or tape runner, but you can do this with your red liner tape. So I'm just going to do a little strip. Let's press that down. We're going to prise that backing off here. Now I've got a white embossing powder, and pop your powder on. I'm going to press that in, and then what we can then do is let's take, I'll just make it easier for myself. Let's just decant that onto there, and I'll put that away shortly. So we've then got our strip. I'm going to go in with my heat tool, and I'm going to start at the top. And any heat embossing, Ben, it's key that once it melts, you start to move it. So I'm going to then angle that. So as that starts to melt at the top here, we're going to get that started, and then I can see that it's starting to melt, and then as it melts, we're just going to travel down, and as long as we are then moving as it melts, you're going to be absolutely fine. And it's another good way to use your red liner tape. Maybe you want to do things such as mats and layers, a decorative corner, because you've got your 3 different widths. Then of course you can do something fun and funky, but that is all that I'm going to do.
So could we just put our glitters and gilding flakes on there too?
Absolutely, yeah, you can do that, no problem at all. So your red liner tape, you could use your gilding powders or your embossing powders, gilding flakes, and then your glitter. And then going back to that dry adhesive I showed you earlier on, you could use your gilding flakes and your glitter. You just wouldn't use your embossing powder.
All good tips, all good tips. Hopefully you're taking notes, ready for the test at the end of the show. Isn't really a test. But yes, for your construction then, so these are the 2 to go for, aren't they? Tacky glue. That's again though, isn't it, why you're going to want this particularly in your crafty stash, because you're thinking, okay, well I can use this for my construction, I'm going to be using this for my mats and layers as well. So again, you're beginning to find out that all of these different glues do have their super sort of hero properties, but do have these other things that they can do as well. So tacky glue is an absolute must. And then if you want the stickiest of sticky stick when it comes to your construction, and again, brilliant as we've heard for sticking your acetate. So many times we'll get questions from people asking what is the best adhesive to go for when it comes to sticking your acetate. This is the one. And what's really lovely about this is you get 10 meters on each roll of your red liner tape, so you do get a lot of the stick, and then you've got the 3 different dimensions. So that one is the 6mm. If you need it slightly thicker, you've got there the 12mm, and then if you want a thinner red liner tape. That one's the thinnest of the three that we do, the 3mm, but as I say, there is 10 metres on each of those rolls. Once again, you can just search for them on the website. I think we do a bumper pack of the red liner tapes, a pack of 7, but if you want to buy them individually, just search for red liner tape, and of course, search for your tacky glue too. One final thing to cover off before we come to the end of this Crafty Stash on adhesives. Different sprays, and boy oh boy do we have a lot of different sprays at Crafter's Companion. Two that I've got for you here are your stick and spray and then your stick and stay. Different coloured tops of course, but if you're like me, you probably do get a little bit confused with things. So let's find out what does what. Where am I using these, Craig?
Right here, when you really think about it, they really are quite straightforward and, you know, quite simple to follow. I'm going to bring in one that you've not got there, Ben, and that one there is a blue top. That is an adhesive cleaner, so that is then going to enable you to clean your sprays afterwards, after you've used them. So that is a blue top there. So where you've got any residue, also good for cleaning your glass mat as well. Anything that's sticky, give it a spray and that's going to clean it away. Now, when it comes to, of course, the additional ones that Ben just showed you there, you've got your stick away and then you've also got your stick away, which is that one, and then you've got your stick and stay and your stick and spray, which we're going to talk you through. So let's go along with the permanent one. So this one here is your red top one. It's stick and stay, and it tells you there permanent adhesive.
Right.
So whatever you use that for, that is going to be a permanent adhesive. It's not moving, it's not budging, it's staying in place. So that is good for your mats and layers if you want to, if you want a bigger coverage. Maybe you want to spray it onto your cardstock and put glitter and create your own glitter sheets, then of course you can do that. Or remember earlier on, Ben, when I used this die cut piece with our dotty tape runner, then yes, you can use your dotty tape runner, but your permanent ones are good for anything that's really, really intricate, because the fine spray is going to coat the whole of the back, and that's going to give you that permanent stick onto, of course, your cardstock. So what to do? Make sure you use these in a well-ventilated area or room. If you've got a little box or something, you can do that. I'm just going to take a bit of cardstock, Ben, and I am just going to stand back a little bit. We're just going to give that a little bit of a shake. And remember, this one being the permanent one. And then all that I'm going to do is I'm just going to give them like a few short, sharp bursts, and then I'm just going to get that, and then once we're spraying that on, we're just going to short, sharp bursts, and then we're just going to let that set just for a moment or two, nothing too long. We're just letting that adhesive start to stick to our cardstock, letting it start to do its thing. Sometimes you might want to give it a little waft like that. And now what's happened is that adhesive spray is only stuck to the back of the die cut, and then therefore you're going to get a really strong appliement of that adhesive.
Yeah.
Now again, now I'm just holding this black card down here, it's nothing sticking, the card's not coming up away with me that you can see here, and that's because the spray is only stuck to the back. Now, once I've left that set for a few moments, Ben, that's going nowhere. If I try and prise that off, that's going to tear, that's going to rip, and that's going to then, of course, damage. We can't use that. So that is your red one, which is your permanent. That's what you're going to be using for something that you don't want to move. You don't want to move it, you want to keep it in place. The other one that's a big firm favourite is the stick and spray. That one's the purple top, that's the repositionable one. So you're going to do what I done a moment ago, but this is for things that you want to move. Posters on wall, leaves no residue, or your stencils. This is where we use the purple repositionable spray the most, because this enables you to stick your stencils down or your template down, do what you need to do with the inks, then pull it away with no residue on the back. So just give that a little bit of a shake once again. I'm going to bring in that card again, I'm going to go onto the other side, and then what I will do actually, because it is a see-through stencil, let's just do that on black, just so Ben at a distance you can see what I'm doing. So I've got my stencil here, I'm doing what I've done before, let's give that a bit of a shake, ventilated room, little bit of a distance there, and then we're just going to do short, sharp bursts. You don't need to do as much as I did with the permanent one.
Yeah.
And that is it. Let that set, and then doing what I'd done a moment ago, just give that little bit of a waft, let that adhesive do its thing, let that start to get the, because you've got bits of alcohol that's in your sprays there, that's going to evaporate. So now what's happening, that is stuck, Ben,
Yeah.
but it's not permanent. So I can ink, I can spritz, I can doodle, I can emboss, I can do whatever I want. And then once I'm done, I can then just take that off. Any little residue, see I've got a little bit of residue just into there. We're just going to give that rub off. And then you can see here, that then all comes off any residue, but then that, it just peels off, on and off. So that is where you're going to be using your purple, which is your repositionable, and then if you're wanting to use something that is permanent, that's going to be your permanent spray.
There we go. Hopefully everybody understands now, especially with the sprays, it can become a little bit confusing, but talked about the main three there. Once again, check the website for these if you want to get those sprays into your life. Just search for them, the Stick and Stay, the Stick and Spray, or indeed the Stick Away, blue top, purple top, and of course the red top as well. Anything that you want off this show, as I say, search the web, but it's been a brilliant show, I think. We've covered off your tape runners, so your dotty tape pen and your standard tape pen. We've talked about your tacky glues. We've talked about all-purpose. Foam pads, of course, as well. So hopefully you now know whether you're going to be using foam pads or your 3D glue gel. Red liner tape and tacky glue again, brilliant for doing all of your construction. And of course, those sprays at the end. Thank you, Craig. I feel like this has been a real educational show, and hopefully now everyone's going to go away knowing exactly what glue to use where.
I hope so anyway, yeah, and hopefully I've simplified that as well. You know, it does have that ripple effect. You can use some of them within other things, but the key core kind of elements or components of cardstock and mediums, hopefully I've made it a little bit easier for you to understand.
Massive thank you to Craig. Keep watching out for these Craft Your Stash shows, and of course, do make sure you come and join us on the live shows as well, because in those shows you'll be seeing our guys using the tape pens. You'll see them using the wet glues and the 3D glue gel and the red liner tape, and you can jump in on those shows again later down the line and ask more questions. But this is definitely a show to save. So thank you so much for watching. That was Craft Your Stash. Until we see you again, thanks for watching and bye for now.